goal is to take the kids that are failing out, expelled, arrested, foster care, homeless, human trafficked, or just bored of their school. And they're like, I only want to go to school for 3 to 5 hours a day. And we don't do school like you guys do schoolwork for 2 hours a day. We do it for maybe 2 to 3, but then we do project-based learning. We do mindfulness stuff. We do there's a lot of other things we do that we want to get kids ingrained. For me, it's more about transforming the mind than the content.
Welcome to the Future of Education podcast, hosted by Mackenzie Price. Mackenzie is the founder of a revolutionary new school model that's disrupting education through AI. Join us as we discuss the latest in education innovation.
Can a guy who gets paid to punch people in the face also be an education reformer, making a huge difference in thousands of students' lives? We're about to find out because my guest today is a former mixed martial arts fighter, undefeated, by the way, and a pro wrestler on the WWE circuit where he won $1 million contract. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So how does a near naked choke and flying off the top ropes and hang out with Mike Tyson translate into transforming education? Let's ask my guest today, Daniel Puder. Daniel.
Thanks for having me in Texas. I love Austin.
Austin is great, and I love this introduction of you because I was actually at dinner last night with a group of 9 other people. They were all men. I was the one woman. I was right in the middle, and we were talking education and MMA. Like, they were all about MMA. I was with Peter Attia, who does jiu-jitsu. Do you know him?
No.
He's like a doctor. He wrote a great book called Outlive, and a couple other guys that do mixed martial arts. And I found like I knew so much, and I think I was preparing to be here with you.
I like that.
Today, so I love it.
Did they show you how to do an arm bar or anything?
Well, I took them down.
Oh.
So it was really me schooling them because,
Got it.
I'm in the school world. So that's my job.
Schooling
I school people. I
Got
school
it.
people.
Understand.
Exactly.
I think my 4-year-old could take you down, though.
Well, you know what's funny? Actually, I have a nephew, and he loved to wrestle when he was like little.
Yeah.
And then he came to visit one year, and I was like, all right, let's wrestle. I'm like a rough and tumble girl. I had an older brother, so I'm do that. Okay. He was like 8 years old. He was killing me. And I have girls. My daughters were like the kind of girls where they'd be like, she hit me. She did this. And they take you out. So I would not be surprised. Okay, so before we get into like the rear naked choke and flying off the top ropes and transforming education, I have to know, were you a good student?
So I was labeled in elementary school as what they call special ed or learning disabled.
Okay.
They put me in the special ed classes, which is really crazy because even today, schools test you for what you're not good at.
Of course.
Versus testing you for what you are good at.
Of course.
Pretty crazy, right?
I you know what? Don't even get me started on all the issues.
We're getting started
with
on this
traditional
today.
education.
It's crazy.
But, I remember, back in the day, you're younger than I am, but I think we were probably still from a similar generation where being put in that special group that was,
Special
for
room.
Learning disabilities and stuff, that was like kind of a big label, like I'm different and not in a great way. How did that affect you?
It jacked me up. I was picked on. I was bullied. I was teased. Oh, you have to go to the special room. Oh, you get double the time on the tests. You're not smart. Mm-hmm. It's crazy to look at, and I look at it today, which I'm probably one of the most blessed today because I had this struggle at a younger age. Mm-hmm. So my subconscious built this grit that that's why I became a fighter and I beat people up and I did good in the sport, right? But most people don't have that grit. Like one of my buddies, I remember he was getting 4.0 GPA through high school or whatever, 4.5, 5.0, whatever. And then he got to college, he aced it. Then he went to med school and he got his ass kicked.
You know what? So one of the things I actually think traditional school does such a bad job about is it encourages kids to stay away from anything they could fail at, right? And I'm a great example of that. I really cared. I was a very motivated student. I actually didn't like school, but I was very motivated to be a good student. And so as a result, if there was ever a subject that I was like, ooh, I might not get an A in that subject, I might not be good at it, it was like, I got to steer clear of that. I want to do that. And we are the exact opposite at our schools. Like, you learn so much from failure, right? We consider failure is fuel on the way to success.
Yeah.
And that grind that you said, the idea of the cycle of trying something hard, struggling, failing, we even say sometimes crying, and then having a mentor and support that helps you learn and get back up and doing that cycle again, that's what creates grit. That's what develops, all these life skills that are so important. And what better time for kids to learn that than when they're young and they're in an environment where they have support and they have people who are watching out for them. So did you have someone watching out for you when you were a kid, or did you feel kind of alone?
I had amazing, loving parents.
Okay.
So I think that was the best. And then I had a coach in 6th grade that
What kind of coach?
Wrestling coach.
You know what? Sports. It always comes down to sports. That's where some of the best coaches are, right?
It was actually 7th grade. I had a coach in 6th grade, but it was like a summer camp. But then I had my coach Lee in 7th, 8th grade.
Okay.
Fantastic coach. He made us do 1,000 jumping jacks one day. And he was one of those guys, like a kung fu artist from San Francisco, like first generation from Asia, where he's like, I can put my hand through your belly and rip out your, like, I'm like, dude, okay, like I get it. I'm in 7th grade, dude. I'm like, let's just do wrestling.
Well, wait, you said you were a bully. Were you like because you're a big guy.
I was a bigger, huskier, at some point, fat kid.
So you were always bigger. But
and I was the slowest kid in the mile run in 6th grade.
You were?
So I wasn't, everybody's like, oh, you were a great athlete, right? Like, I'm like, no, I was the slowest kid in the mile run. I was chubby and overweight, and I was special ed.
Yeah, I'm so
like,
sorry.
I had it all going for me, right?
I will give you a hug. I will absolutely give you a hug for your little
But biggest blessing in the
child.
world, because a lot of people have everything when they're younger, and they don't understand the fundamentals. So I look at kids that were picking on me and bullying me. They have hurt people, and loving people love people. So I didn't understand that. Nobody explained that. We explain these like fundamentals to our kids now.
Yeah.
So we do a lot around belief intelligence and emotional intelligence.
Yes. So important. And by the way, where was any of that when we were in school?
It wasn't.
And even actually in a lot of schools
people
now.
just like tell a teacher about bullying. Like, I'm like, okay, cool. So I get the concept. Like, you want to be a snitch or a rat, whatever they call them, right? But you're not that because you're not doing it. So there's two different things on when you're trying to stand up for yourself and protect yourself or somebody else versus being a part of it and then like ratting out your buddy because you're both doing it and you got in trouble kind of deal, right? So there's a difference between a rat and a snitch per se and like just participating to help somebody else. So I always like to make that because a lot of kids in my school, like we go to Liberty City or whatever, and they're like, oh, I wouldn't say that to a teacher. And I'm like, well, you're not participating, but why wouldn't you stand up for somebody else?
Yeah.
And where's your integrity if you're not going to stand? If you're not going to stand up for somebody else there, do you really don't care if somebody stands up for you someday? So it's interesting, like how people show up and then what they get in return.
Yeah.
So my biggest challenge is with just teaching emotional intelligence. It's what therapists, psychiatrists, psychologists do all day long. But my challenge is it doesn't get to the root of what's going on.
Yeah.
And the root is the belief. So we just trademarked belief intelligence. We have the first study in the world on belief intelligence. We have the book coming out this year. So it's interesting where Daniel Goldman did a lot of the stuff around emotional intelligence. But we're only seeing more, from my perspective, we're getting more mentally ill people in America. We're getting more issues emotionally, mentally, psychologically with our kids today too.
Yes.
And there's other issues too that go on. But then we're just talking about the emotion, but nobody wants to get to the root of where the emotion comes from and then fix that.
Of course. And you got to look at those limiting beliefs or those
100%.
wrong beliefs that people have that we often developed from when we were young, when we were going through this. So I just want to go back a little bit more because, you had this challenging time. You were considered special needs or had a learning disability.
Yeah.
Did you get it together before you got out of high school? Like what was
I went to college
your
and
learning
I was
experience?
still, I was still like have an IEP in college.
But you did go to college.
Yeah,
so you were able to go to college.
Then I dropped out.
That's
I
okay.
left early.
Hey,
no, I'm glad.
Judgment there. Exactly.
My brother's a doctor. He's like one of the top psychiatrists in the world.
Really?
Yeah. David Puder. He's a rock star. And I just got my honorary doctorate, so my mother can call me Dr. Puder too. So it's pretty cool.
I love it. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Okay, so how did you get through school when you were struggling like this? What were the kind of coping mechanisms you used, or what kind of strategies did you develop to make your way?
So in class, I would eat during the whole class. My teachers, some of them would dislike it because it's like my brain just needed something. I would take notes, and I would hardly study, like all the stuff. Whatever they taught, I would find out what's going to be on the test. Is it the book content or is it what you're teaching? If it was most of the time in college, it's what they're teaching from the book conceptually. So I would take notes the whole page. Once I write it down once, I can remember it.
Okay. So you got really smart about how to.
I learned how to learn.
Prep.
I learned how to learn, which I think is the biggest challenge. And man, we're going to kill that fly real quick too.
I've been dying for
I
this
will
fly to be killed.
just get it.
Stefan, I asked you to kill the fly while I went to the bathroom.
Yeah.
No, come here.
So we do have a fly that we're trying to kill. So there could be some random acts of violence all of a sudden. You never know when it's going to happen. That's what these MMA guys, they keep you on your toes. You just never know when all of a
We
sudden.
don't do random acts of violence, though.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
yeah. We're
we're
strategic.
You're allowed to here. This is
Got it.
strategic. This is strategic.
You want me to murder the fly? I get it.
We will get that. Okay, but one other thing is I have a feeling sports played an important part of your development
Huge.
growing up.
Yep.
Okay. And then how did you end up getting into WWE?
WWE? Yeah.
Yeah, first?
So I, at 16 years old, I got into a fight with kind of, I would say, the bully.
Okay.
Beat him up.
Did you get in trouble for it?
Went to juvenile hall.
Ooh, yep, you did.
Yep, Spent a weekend.
Oh, wow.
The guy in my bunkmate. So in juvenile hall, I don't recommend it if kids are listening. Like juvenile hall's not a good place to go.
Not a good sleepover camp.
My bunkmate had a shank.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm like, okay, like I'm gonna just do my thing and I'm just out of here. I want out in like 3 days. I was only one of the white kids. Only like there's very little amount of white kids in there. Most of them were black brown. And I'm like, this is crazy. Like, okay, like did they put me on the wrong ward, the wrong level, the whatever it was back then? And then I got out, and a few months later, my buddy said, "Do you want to go to this jiu-jitsu MMA thing?"
Ooh.
And I'm like, I have no clue what that is because UFC wasn't even UFC yet.
Yeah.
Like what it is today.
Sure.
And so I showed up and I got my butt whooped. Frank Shermock was my coach.
Okay.
I did it for a whole week. I enjoyed getting my butt whooped. Went back to my parents. I said, hey, can you pay for a gym membership? And they looked, they're like $150 a month. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, that's reasonable, right? And they were like, we just paid thousands of dollars for your lawyer to get you out of jail
Yeah.
because you were fighting. So now you want us to pay for you to learn how to fight.
Yeah.
So I didn't understand it. I was kind of upset. Went back to the gym, talked to Javier Mendez. I go, Jav, my parents won't pay for this. I got a skill set though that my dad taught me at 12 years old to clean the toilets and mop the mats. Like I can do that.
Amazing.
Can I do that for your gym and work on a membership? And he took me under his wing.
You know what? That is such a great example when you help somebody figure out what their passion and their interest is, like they will figure out how to work on this, right? And we have this struggle all the time with parents where a kid is interested in something and the parent for whatever reason is like, well, that's not what they should be interested in. I want them to be interested in this. And my whole philosophy is like find that thing the kids are interested in and help them go for it, right?
Yep.
Whatever that is. And so you figured out a way to pay for this membership and your MMA
My parents didn't even
journey.
sign off. I was 17, so I wasn't even 18. So I was like, I'm thinking to myself, like a couple months ago, I was telling the story. They're like, did your parents sign? I'm like, I don't think so. I think they just let me in.
Okay, so now we're kind of going into like some territory that I'm not super familiar with.
Yep.
I will say my wrestling stuff ends with Andre the Giant because my older brother was a big fan.
Yep.
So that's kind of I was in there. I did actually meet with Linda McMahon, Secretary
I did
of
too.
Education.
We were with her last week.
Okay, I was with her a few weeks ago.
2 weeks
so
ago, yeah.
we were able to talk a little bit of WW wrestling
yep,
stuff. Yeah, so we did that. But I'm kind of I'm not as good on this, but
So that was MMA fighting.
right, that's MMA.
Then I did pro wrestling.
Okay,
For
you got into that.
Vince, for Stephanie. I actually thanked her for her daughter because her daughter was in charge of my whole Tough Enough.
Okay.
Because I was on a reality show that I won.
What was the reality show?
It's called $1 Million Tough Enough on SmackDown.
Okay.
It was the only one they ever did.
I missed that show.
Yep, you missed
today,
it.
Tony Robbins told me to watch the show on Netflix, and now you're
I'm not
telling
your
me
guru?
to watch. Yes, that's the one he was like,
I've
you
watched
got to
it
watch
probably
this.
about 8 times.
Okay,
It's
I'm going to watch
the
it.
best.
It is.
Like you want to see transformation. That's what Tony does.
Okay, well, I will say when he was telling me you got to watch my Netflix, I was like, I
and you
will
should
watch
do.
it,
Have you ever
so
done
I
Unleash
will
the
do
Power
this.
Within or Date with Destiny?
No.
Oh, you have to go.
He
to
just
one of those.
invited me, so I'm going to
Are you
go.
going, which one did he go?
I don't know. He's like, go.
Let's
in
do Date with
December.
Destiny. I'll go.
Okay.
Yeah. We were planning on going.
Great.
Yeah.
Just so our listeners know, MMA and WWE are completely opposite. And Daniel, explain how they're completely opposite.
MMA fighting is a legit sanctioned sport where you can do kicking, elbowing, foot stomping, kneeing, breaking arms, choking out, like whatever, different rules in different countries. And then pro wrestling is a scripted entertainment, but I actually got hurt worse in pro wrestling than I did in legit cage fighting.
Why? Because the training's not as good, or
It's because you get bumped around the ring all the time and you have to throw yourself. So it's like acrobatic 270 pounders doing backflips off ropes.
yes. Wow.
That's the top ropes reference.
The top ropes. Okay.
Or the
yes.
mid rope or the bottom rope.
What did this wrestling career teach you? Like, what did you learn from your wrestling career? What were the life skills you got?
So wrestling and fighting, two different kind of frameworks on careers. On
Mm-hmm.
wrestling, my coach Al Snow, best pro wrestling coach, or I think pro wrestler in the industry. He taught me it's better to be respected than liked and not respected.
Okay.
So stand up for what you believe.
Yeah. I love that.
On the MMA side, I learned how to love myself because I hit enough people and they hit me enough that I'm like, I'm not angry anymore. Like, how do I actually, like, this is not what I want for my whole life. I was watching guys in their 40s and 50s still fight professionally. And I'm like, why would I want to get smashed in my face till I'm 50 years old?
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't sound like fun to me.
That makes sense. The Miz.
Yeah, The Miz, he's great.
That's the one who
Yeah,
lived
yeah.
across.
I beat
from
him.
us. The Miz.
I beat him in Tough Enough.
You did?
Yeah, we were the
Congratulations.
runner-off, and I actually $1 million Tough Enough. He took first loser. So I just want to throw that at you, Miz. Thank you, bro. No, literally, I kicked his ass
Okay.
by fan votes.
So I love that. And one question I'm going to get personal here. Where did you make more money, MMA or wrestling?
Pro wrestling.
Pro wrestling.
Yeah.
Okay. I love my cameraman is an expert in this, so he's like nodding along and doing this. You can take the
I could have
take the
made
thing if you
more.
want.
I mean, it just depends on how long you run at which one
Mm-hmm.
and at what level. But you can stay at a higher level in pro wrestling than you can in MMA. MMA, usually you have a 3-year career at the top, if that.
Okay, got
You,
it.
you have like a 3 to 5 year run at the you have like 3 or 4. If you're a 2 or 3 time UFC champ, that you're doing amazing. Like Frank Shermock, my coach, was a 6-time UFC champ.
That's unheard of.
It was
Okay.
unheard. Back then, he was just ahead of his time.
Wow.
But it's very. I don't know anybody these days that's a 6-time UFC champ.
Okay, and then we're going to kind of jump into the next chapter of education. But before we go to that, you have some businesses that came out of your wrestling.
After fighting, I started a nonprofit called My Life, My Power. So that was the first thing I
My
did.
Life, My Power. Tell me
Yeah.
about it.
So I got on TMZ. They saw me at dinner one night, and they said, "Hey, what do you think about?" Because I posted some stuff on social media.
Okay.
And it blew up.
Okay,
About
what'd you
kids
post?
being bullied and
Okay.
committing suicide.
Ugh.
So I was bullied as a kid. So I said to TMZ, "I will come to your school if you're being bullied. Here's my email." So the next morning it runs, and I literally see it. I know where I was at dinner with one of my mentors, Farouk, and the next morning I'm with my father, and my emails on my phone just start. It killed my phone
Oh
in
my
like
gosh.
45 minutes. It like just
No.
email,
Of all those
email.
kids being bullied.
Not just that, it was kids being bullied. It was adults talking about their kids being bullied, and then it was adults saying, "I wish you were at my school to protect me when I was a kid."
Oh, that's so sad and sweet.
And it's the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's crazy that we think that like bullying exists everywhere because we have a lot of hurt people.
Yeah.
So nobody's solving the root of this in schools, but so what I did was I started a program, I started curriculum, I did trainings. I've gotten funded through the White House, through the Office on National Drug Control Policy. We've trained law enforcement around the country in like 20 states. We've trained teachers. We've trained, we did a lot of stuff. We have 6 published studies through College of William and Mary that show that our belief intelligence and emotional intelligence, we call it tactical leadership for law enforcement.
Okay.
But it works. Like, we prove that we can actually transform somebody's belief system based upon experiential learning. So same kind of thing what Tony's doing. We just do it for like customized markets because I wanted to impact the kids.
Yeah. Give
not
me
just
an
general.
example. Like, what do you do? What do you do with kids?
So you ever done an I am statement?
Yes.
So mine is I'm loving, authentic, and committed. Do you know what yours is?
Boy, it's been probably 4 years since I did it. But I think it was, I don't know.
And I'll tell you why.
I have to remember.
Because that's my commitment to myself.
Okay.
So if I'm not loving, then I know if I'm being an asshole, then I got to rethink my commitment to myself.
Yeah.
So I find we're human beings. We're not human doers.
Well, and that's what usually people think of I do, and therefore
Correct.
I am. And so you have to flip that
I
to like
am.
I am, and then how is the way that value and what you want to put out in the
Yep.
world, how are you doing that?
Yeah.
It's an I am statement.
So we create let's say you pick the top 10 characteristics that describe yourself. And then from there, you whittle it down to the most valuable 3.
And actually, when I did this, I feel like I went through this exercise where they have you look at a bunch of different words and you kind of pick this or this, this or this, this or this, and then it kind of comes down to like, okay, these are the three.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did it in experiential learning called gratitude back in the day.
Okay.
So it was like 4 days, like Tony's Unleash the Power Within, or it's like 4 days. I think Date with Destiny's 5 or 6 days. So it's like 18-hour days.
Okay.
So the goal of this is they want to get you to be tired so that you can
vulnerable and open.
Vulnerable and connected to yourself. And then you're like, just like after 2 or 3 days, you're just sitting there and you're just eating all the information in, and then you just flow. And so we do the same thing. We have our white, red, and black belt system that we have all our staff do. We have all our kids do it before they graduate. So the first year you're in our schools, you have to go through our 2-day white belt emotional belief intelligence leadership training.
Amazing. Okay, so wait, now I want to get into education so that people are understanding, okay, we've got an MMA fighter, a kid who was bullied when he was
started
growing
nonprofit.
Up. He was in juvie hall. He started a nonprofit, and now you got these schools.
And now we have 9 schools in 3 states.
Tell me, let's talk about the schools.
Okay.
What are the schools? When did they start? How did you start them?
So the transition was from the nonprofit. I'm sitting there in Kentucky one day, rolling out a program in a local school district, and my buddy looks at me, and I'm like, dude, the turnover in public schools is crazy. And he's like, start a school. And I'm like, Jamie, what are you talking about? I'm a special ed kid. I'm like, I didn't even graduate college. Like, nobody, like, what is this? He's like, no, start a school. I'm like, okay. So I met a guy named Guillermo. Then I met Jen. Then I met Michael, who was a DJJ. He ran juvenile halls. I already knew Brittany at the time. So I put a team together, and we built our first school with 3 kids day one in the most violent neighborhood in South Florida, Liberty City.
No way.
So Michael and I looked at each other day one with 3 kids, and we're like, we got 3 kids' parents to trust us. This is awesome.
You know what's so funny? So I started a school too, just like you, 0 education background, and which actually I love when people ask me like, what is your pedagogy and what was your back? And I'm like, none. I hated school growing up. Yeah, I hated school growing up. I was a good student. I knew how to play the game. I often say, there's like a freeway running from this year to this year of just information going through.
Yeah.
I'd get the A, and then it'd be like off to the next thing. And so when I was unhappy with my kids' school experience, I was like, looked around. I'm like, okay, there's got to be a way to provide more personalization. Yeah. I didn't see it, and I decided to start one. And an example of this, though, I found my co-founder was this guy who's just like a Jedi mind warrior when it comes to motivating kids and getting kids to love school. So he was going to be the guy who's in it with the kids. He's in the ring, right? He was in the ring with the kids every day, and he's doing this. But it's like a few weeks before school's going to start. We'd been planning for about 4 months, and all of a sudden I look at him, I'm like, by the way, what happens if like you get sick one day and like you can't come to school? Like, what are we going to do? And he looks at me and he goes, I never get sick. And I'm like, well, I know, but if you get sick, and he's like, I never get sick. And here's me. I was like, okay, good enough answer for me. Like, we'll figure it out. And I will tell you, he never got sick. He never got sick.
He like left you alone day one. You're like, no.
I know. I would have been like, what do we do? But yeah, so I mean, things like that happen. You are kind of, it's like a little bit, it was for us at least Wild Wild West for a little bit of figuring out like, how are we going to create this experience and this environment that for us, we wanted to unlock potential.
For sure.
And that. So you started with 3 kids.
Started with 3 kids. And Michael used to be a warden of a juvenile hall.
Okay.
And then me as a fighter, right? So, and then Jen.
What was your pitch to the parents of these kids?
We're like, do you like your school system around here? Because they're failing your kids. So why don't you join us?
Was this a free school? Was it a private school?
Private school. So we have private. Yeah, we have 9 private schools.
Okay, got it.
So we have 1 in West Virginia, 1 in Arizona with Mike Tyson, and then we have 7 in Florida.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow. And are these K through 12?
6th through 12th grade.
6th through 12th grade.
And the goal is to take the kids that are failing out, expelled, arrested, foster care, homeless, human trafficked, or just bored of their school. And they're like, I only want to go to school for 3 to 5 hours a day. And we don't do school like you guys do schoolwork for 2 hours a day. We do it for maybe 2 to 3, but then we do project-based learning. We do mindfulness stuff. We do like there's a lot of other things we do that we want to get kids ingrained. For me, it's more about transforming the mind than the content.
Thanks for listening to Mackenzie Price and the Future of Education podcast. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, now is the time to do it so you can stay up to date on all our episodes. You can connect with Mackenzie on social media and be part of our daily conversation over on Instagram at futureof_education. For more info about the show and our guests, you can always visit futureofeducationpod.com. Lastly, if you're loving what you're learning, please leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. We'll be back in your feed soon, but until then, remember, kids are limitless, and it's our job to unlock their potential.